Hello and welcome back to Capping Corner. Today we're going to talk about the Blame Stakes at Churchill Downs. I know that's different because this race is for older horses and normally I cover the 3-year-olds, but this race is interesting because it has last year's Kentucky Derby winner, and the Kentucky Derby winner is usually overbet. So let's talk about this race, and then next week I'll cover the Belmont Stakes, and then I'll go on a break, and we'll see when I come back. Maybe in the fall. We'll see. Anyways, let's talk about the Blame Stakes, and let's start off with Mystic Dan, last year's Kentucky Derby winner. Mystic Dan had some trouble with his form after the Preakness Stakes. He was 8th in the Belmont, 6th in the Malibu, and 9th in the Pegasus Invitational. And I could forgive the Malibu because it was a Grade 1 race off the layoff, and I think they were aiming too high off the layoff. Maybe they should have started off with an optional claimer or something easier. But the Pegasus was disappointing, and then he came back on May 3 at Oaklawn in a non-graded stakes race. I don't even know if I could pronounce the name of that race, but he was second to Saudi Crown. Let's take a look at that race. Without discussing the value of Mystic Dan, I actually think this was a good effort. Saudi Crown controlled the race from start to finish. You see the fractions 23.72, 47.28. I mean, those aren't slow fractions, but they're on the moderate side, and when you give a good horse like that moderate fractions, he's going to be tough to mow down. And Mystic Dan almost passes him in the stretch, but Saudi Crown just keeps finding more, and Saudi Crown is going to nose out Mystic Dan at the wire. It was a good effort though. I thought they both ran well. You could argue that Mystic Dan was pace compromised. Saudi Crown, like I said, he controlled the race from start to finish. However, the value on him will not be great. He's a Kentucky Derby champion, and people that just know the Kentucky Derby and don't bet a lot will see that and just bet him blindly. And that's the problem with betting any Kentucky Derby champion that has an extended career past the Triple Crown season. And I just can't take him because of that. I'm going to ignore Mystic Dan. Maybe I'll regret it. We'll see. Now let's talk about another pace compromise horse, Hall of Fame. You see in the Alashiba Stakes, under 1C it says -9, under 2C only -1, but the -9 is significant. And you see the fractions 24.48, and he lost by 4 1/4 of a length, but let's see how it happened. For some reason the fractions don't appear in this replay, but we saw the fractions in the past performances anyway. You see Most Wanted was controlling the race early on, and next to him is a long shot. This is Uskar, and Fierceness is on the outside. Hall of Fame is on the inside stalking. He's in the pocket position. And Most Wanted had easy fractions, as we said, 24.48. Like I said, Breeze gave it a -9 for 1C. And so he had things his own way. The only reason Fierceness passed him here is because Fierceness is a good horse and he belongs on a higher level with the top horses in the division. Now, Most Wanted could probably compete in a Grade 1, but he wouldn't be the best horse, and Fierceness would be one of the best horses. So I have no problem with Fierceness passing Most Wanted and beating Hall of Fame by 4 lengths here. I think that Hall of Fame was pace compromised because Most Wanted got the easy fractions 24.48. Forget about the fact that Fierceness won. Fierceness is not in this Blame Stakes. Fierceness is not in the Blame Stakes. So take him out. Assume that Most Wanted would have been a winner. I just don't think Hall of Fame ran that bad of a race if you consider the fractions. He had no pace, and I know he was close to them. He was about 2 lengths off the pace, but still, Most Wanted had everything his own way. And I still think Most Wanted ran well too. I'm not going to discount Most Wanted, who was in this race as well. I think both of them have a shot to take the Blame Stakes. I'm looking for him right now. Where is he? Most Wanted is cross-entered in an optional claimer on Sunday, but if he runs in this race, he does have a good chance, and I will pick him in my top 4. But I prefer Hall of Fame just because I think he was pace compromised, and Most Wanted had everything his own way. Both of them are good, and I'm going to use probably Hall of Fame on top, and Most Wanted will be one of my other choices. I want to briefly talk about Post Time, who is also in my top 4. There's not a lot to say about him. He won his return race by 13 lengths at Laurel Park, and he got a 107, and he belongs at the Grade 1 level. We've seen him before. He was second in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, third in the Whitney Stakes, second in the Met Mile last summer. And there's not a lot to say other than he's a big contender in this race, and I would not be surprised if he won the race. Although still, I prefer Hall of Fame, but Post Time is another horse you have to think about. Lastly, I want to talk about Banishing, who has been unbelievable over the past year. Since October, he's been doing nothing but running first or second, and in his last start, he ran second in the Churchill Down Stakes, a Grade 1, and he finished just ahead of Nisos. Mindframe won the race. I do have a problem with this race, and we're going to take a look at it in a second, but I just want to say I'm astounded at his form change. He had that one miscue at Saratoga where he bore out bad, I guess, as it says in the comments, but after that, he's been firing every single month. Now let's take a look at the Churchill Down Stakes. What problem do I have with this race? I don't like how they're all in a cluster. It almost looks like a turf finish. If you watch enough turf races, you know most of them end in a cluster like this one. But I don't take it as a good sign for a dirt race. You see Banishing with the jockey in the red cap, he's moving through the inside. And yes, he ran well. He barely missed. Mindframe won from the outside. But again, I don't like how they're all finishing in a group. We can watch it one more time. Usually I take it as a bad sign. Because I talked about before, usually when the race is spread out, the horses are spread out at the end, it means that they ran a fast race. And for them to all finish in a cluster like this, I question how fast they actually ran. And I know it was a weird track, it was a sloppy track. I'm going to rank him fourth. I do respect his consistency, and it wouldn't surprise me if he hit the board or even if he won. But another thing about Banishing is that for how long can he keep up this consistency? He runs every month, and he always fires, first or second. How long can he keep that up? He's almost like an invincible horse. He just keeps firing and firing. And I'm going to rank him fourth, like I said, out of respect for his consistency. I do wonder if the well will run dry at some point. So I want the horses out of the Ali Sheba Stakes. Hall of Fame, Most Wanted, they both ran well against the top horse in fierceness. I prefer Hall of Fame because he's 8-1 on the morning line, and he's going to offer more value. And I just don't think there's that much separation between Most Wanted and Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame just needs a faster pace ahead of him, and then he can make the first run as a stalker and take over on the far turn. Hall of Fame is my top choice for the Blame Stakes. Most Wanted and Post Time are both contenders, and I'll say Banishing is a contender as well, although I'll rank him fourth in my list. Hall of Fame, my top choice for the Blame Stakes. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back soon with Belmont coverage.